How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to an episode of Let's Build Twitter. As always, I'm Ethan, or Unknown Coder. Before we get into this one, I do have a little bit that I do want to talk about. So here at the beginning of the year, I kind of had this idea to try to record everything inside of a live stream and try to edit it up and try to get it as low as possible, as small as possible. I did this for a while, and as you guys saw, there was a little bit of a break, and that is partially because I had spent a lot of time working on my configuration video that I just uploaded. By the time you guys see this, would have been last week or a couple weeks ago. That and just live streaming just wasn't really working with me in my current situation. So with that kind of experiment out of the way, we're going to go back to the old way of doing things. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to prepare all the code and everything beforehand. I'm going to go back through, I'm going to record it. And the reason that I kind of gotten away from this was because it was taking a little bit longer. I had to take more time out of my day, like programming this to kind of get ready for the video and whatnot. So instead, I'm going to be using Git now and just kind of doing PRs to see the differences between the files. Then go ahead and basically base what the code for the episodes can be based off that. And it should go ahead and make my workflow a lot faster and be able to get us into videos faster, get videos done faster, so on and so forth. So by the time you guys see this, I should hopefully have a couple episodes ready to go. I will be gone for a couple weeks, so it might take a little bit of time of ramping up to get everything back up and running the way that we want. I do want to try to go ahead and start up another series as well. And then I will probably be live streaming on Twitch a little bit, not this series, but I do have a new project that I want to work on. While I'm gone for the next few weeks, I'm going to do some research on how to get that project started. That's everything I wanted to get out of the way. So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop into what we're working on today. In this episode, we start out in Java, updating our like, repost, and bookmark logic to remove each action whenever a user submits a second request to one of these actions. Then we set up a new service method to create a view on a post along with a controller endpoint for our front end to call when a user views the post. Then we head back to the front end to first fix a bug that I missed when copy and pasting code from the like and bookmark logic in the post component. Then we continue on in the front end, setting up a new async thunk in the post slice to view a post, and wrap up by setting up a new observer in the post to know when the post is being viewed and send a new request to add a view to the post. So as always, if you guys do want access to that private repository, there's a link in the description down below. So now let's go ahead and hop into what we're working on. All right, so like I mentioned before, we have a whole new setup here, and this is pretty cool. I'm using NeoVim. I'm also using Tmux here. I'm going to need to go ahead and set up a script to go ahead and run this every single time. Like I mentioned before, we're going to want to go ahead and start out inside of Java. So we're inside of our backend. Let's go into source, main, Java, go into our resources, and we want to go ahead and start out inside of our post service. Let's go into our post service, so services and then post service. Let's get rid of that. So the first thing I want to go ahead and do is we want to go ahead and fix the issues inside of repost, like, and bookmark. So on Twitter, whenever you actually go ahead and click that, it actually removes it for you. So that's what we want to go ahead and do here. Also, hopefully the quality and everything's okay. Hopefully the sound and everything also is okay. I'm trying to tweak things and get everything working. I know I had a little bit of an issue in my previous video with audio, so hopefully everything's good. So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop down to wherever we are doing our repost logic. So let's just scroll down here. And right now, all we're doing is whenever we send this, we go ahead and add it, and then if it doesn't exist, since it's a set, it'll go ahead and just not do anything. Instead, what we want to go ahead and do is we want to make it so that it actually removes it from the set. So what we're going to go ahead and do is below here, we're going to go ahead and come in here. We're going to say if our repost dot contains, we're going to see if it contains our user. So we're going to say contains user, and then what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to say repost is equal to repost.stream. We're going to go ahead and stream this. We're going to go ahead and dot filter. And then what we're going to go and do is we're going to filter by u, where u dot get username or user ID is not equal to, and there we go, user dot get user ID. We're going to go ahead and say dot collect, maybe. We're going to go ahead and say collectors and dot to set. Let's go ahead and import that. There we go. So basically we're going to go ahead and filter that out if it already exists. Otherwise, we're going to wrap this add user to an else. Let's go ahead and grab this guy. So go ahead and delete him and paste him in there. Do one of these. Whoops. Maybe. Save that. Go ahead and format that, save it. There we go. So that should be good to go. Now let's go ahead and also take a look at doing this with likes. So we're going to do the same exact thing with likes. We're just going to go ahead and remove the like and then re-add the like. So down here, let's go ahead underneath our set of likes. We'll go ahead and say if our likes dot contains, and it contains the user, There's probably a remove or something, but I wanted to be safe here. So here we'll say likes.stream. Actually, let's say likes is equal to likes.stream. And then we're going to go ahead and .filter. We're going to go ahead and filter you for u.getUser ID is not equal to our user.getUser ID. So whichever one is not the user, because that's currently logged in, we'll go ahead and get rid of that. Say .collect. We're going to go ahead and use collectors to set to go ahead and grab that. And once again, we'll go ahead and do is we'll add an else around this guy. Otherwise, and then let's go ahead and grab this. So grab this guy, delete it, paste it in, fix this formatting, and get rid of this extra line. Cool. So that should be good there. Now we need to do the same thing with bookmark, because bookmark is also kind of scuffed. So let's go ahead and go into our bookmark, go down here. We're going to do the same exact thing. We can go ahead and say if our book and marks dot contains user. And then we're going to go ahead and say bookmarks equal to bookmarks dot stream. We're going to dot filter. We're going to say u. We're going to filter u dot get user ID not equal to user dot get user ID, like so. And then we'll say dot and collect. And we'll say collectors dot to set like we did previously. And then we'll also go ahead and set up the else statement here. Let's go ahead and copy this guy, this bookmarks, and hopefully I did this all right. So let's go ahead and copy and delete that. Let's go ahead and paste it in there. Let's go ahead and fix this guy up a little bit, like so. There we go. Save that. That's good to go. So before I move on, I do want to just kind of test this out. So I'm going to go ahead and open up Postman. I'm trying to get as much of this development stuff off my personal computer as possible and put it all on WSL. So basically I've been using the web client for Postman. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the web client for Postman, and I set up my workspace and everything again. That way something happened to my PC, Windows 11 just straight up crashed. So now if anything happens to Windows 11 again, we shouldn't have an issue. So now we're going to go ahead and open up to our Let's Build Twitter endpoints. We're going to have to log in, I believe, because I don't think I have a bearer token for us. Let's go into our authentication. Let's go and log in, and then let's go and put in the username as unknown coder. I believe that's what I put my username in and password, and hopefully this got created. I don't know. See, you're testing a local API. Oh man, we're gonna need the desktop agent. Okay, one moment. All right, sorry about that, y'all. It even went ahead and imported this for me, so that's good. So let's go back into authentication, go back into log in, and hopefully it'll allow us to hit this now. Now body will have unknown, maybe unknown coder, and then this will be password. Hopefully this works. Let's go ahead and send. Cool. We have our token. There is a way for us to save this token and automatically import it. I'll need to look into that again, but let's go ahead and go now into our posts. So the things that we went ahead and updated were the repost, like, and bookmark. So let's first go into repost. First, we need to go into our headers. Let's go into our bear past that guy. And I'm just going to go ahead and save that so it's there. And then let's just go ahead and say that we like post 1. I don't know who created post 1, but let's just say we like it and go ahead or reposted it, I guess. Hopefully it's not our own. And now if we come in here, I guess this from summer, you can see that we are inside this repost list. So now if we send this again, whenever we get it back, as long as I did this properly, you can see that repost is now empty. We can do the same thing inside of like. So we go back to like and we go into the headers. Let me paste in the bear token and save that for later. If we say likes1 and go ahead and send this, we should hopefully see that now we are inside of the likes. We send it again. We should now be able to see we are no longer in that likes list. And then same thing with bookmarks. If we go into our headers, paste in our bear token, go into here, put like 1 and send it. And now you can see we are in the bookmarks. We send it again. We are no longer in the bookmarks. So this is going to act more like Twitter. And this is also going to bring us in line with what we did on the front end, because the front end we kind of already set this up, but we just didn't have it working on the back end quite yet. cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and save all of these. I lost all of these whenever I redid my computer, so it's good to have these back. And then, like I was mentioning before, I basically lost my computer again. Something corrupted in my Windows files and I couldn't connect to the network, so I had to redo my entire Windows. That's why you see activate Windows, because apparently my version of Windows wasn't genuine or something. I had to get a new version of Windows, unfortunately, but it is what it is. So we move on. So now let's go ahead and set it up so we can actually view a post. So I'm just going to go below the bookmark, and we're going to go ahead and say public post, and we're going to go ahead and say view post. And this is going to be an integer, and it's going to take in a post ID. So also going to take in the string token. So it's going to be similar to our above ones. We're going to say string username is equal to our token service dot, and this is going to be get username from token, like so. Pass in the token. If I could type properly, then we'll get the username from the token, and we're going to get the application user from that username. So application user is equal to our user service dot get, and this can be user by username, maybe username. We're going to pass in that username. Okay, good to good. We're going to say post is equal to, we're going to find our post, so post repo. We're going to get or find by ID, and then we're going to go ahead and pass in that post ID dot or else throw. So if we don't find one, we're going to go ahead and throw a post does not exist exception, a new one, like so. All right, that'll just kind of safeguard, and we have a default endpoint for a controller to deal with that. Now let's go ahead and get the actual set of views. So we're going to say set of application user, set of application users views equal to post.get views. Now this one, once you go on the views list, you're not going to be taken off of it, and we want to make sure that only one view per person, basically. So we're going to put the application user in there, and that's going to be it. And we're also going to go ahead and do some safeguards on the front end so we don't just spam it over and over again. We'll see that in a second. So say if our views dot contains the user, we're going to go ahead and just bypass this. We're just going to go ahead and return the post. We don't need to do any more work. That'll just save us a little bit of computation. Otherwise, we'll say views.add the current user. And then we'll go ahead and say post.set the views. So set the views on the post. This will be equal to the views, if I could type. And then we'll return our post repo.save. And we'll go ahead and save that post. So whenever the user, and what did I do wrong? Okay, I typoed, so it's going to get out of that. Let's fix this. This should be views with an S. Go ahead and fix this one. This will be views with an S. And I also get user by username. I also typoed this. Fix that. There we go. All right. So now basically whenever someone is scrolling through their feed and they look at a post, this will be able to actually send that view over. And then we'll also go ahead and ignore whenever people view a second time. So let's go ahead and go into our post controller. So inside of our post controller, let's go down just below where our likes and bookmarks and all that stuff is. And let's go ahead and put in @put mapping. This is going to be to slash, and this will be view/ID, similar to our other ones. We'll have a public post, and this is just going to be called a view. We'll have an @path variable like we have on this, so variable, and this will be ID, and this will be an integer ID. Also have an @request header, and this will be HTTP headers.authorization. Well, this will be our string token, string token, and inside I was going to go ahead and return our post service and .view post. Put in the ID, put in the token, bada bing, bada boom, that's good to go. Save that. All right, so now theoretically we could hit a post. I don't really feel like deleting them because basically once we add this in, we won't be able to undo the view, basically, so I don't feel like really dealing with all that. So we're going to go ahead and just test this on the front end as we get going. So that's something we need to do on the back end. Everything's compiled, good to go. So let's go ahead and head over to our front end. So now in our front end, let's go ahead and first we're going to start in the post. So let me go ahead and find our post here. So source, and this will be inside of features and inside of post components. And this is just going to be inside of our post.tsx. And then what we're going to want to do, we might also have an issue. I don't know. Let's just look at our terminal really quick. I think that there's an issue with an import in here because I'm using ESLint now. So if I go into our terminal, although it says no issues found, so maybe we're fine. Let's go back to our front end. I'm gonna go ahead and look at our application app.tsx and just double check this is an issue. So this was an issue before. We don't actually need this import. So I'm gonna get rid of it. That way it's not an issue. And then let's go back into our post.tsx here. Cool. So there's a couple of bugs here inside of the post.tsx. First one is whenever we like and bookmark. So let's go and scroll down to where the liking occurs. So let's see here. So here in create like, I believe. So here on line 166, you can see that we have post.repost. So this is actually getting the number of reposts. So this needs to be likes.logged in. And I believe the rest of these are okay. We just want to make sure that this is likes instead of reposts. And then the same thing down to bookmark. So if we scroll back down here inside of bookmark, you can see we have repost here. So we want to make sure we actually get the right thing. So go ahead and say bookmarks. So I'll fix 2 bugs that kind of slipped through the cracks last episode, and that's good to go. So now let's go ahead and actually get to working on setting up the views. Let's go ahead and hop into our post slice, and inside of our post slice, we're going to go ahead and set up a brand new async thunk. So let's go ahead and scroll down here, and below our bookmark post, let's go ahead and export const, and we'll go ahead and say view post is equal to create async thunk, like so. And inside here we'll have our post slash view, and then we'll go ahead and say async. And this will take in a body, and this will just be a post action body again in our thunk API, as we always do. Let's make an arrow function. All right, so we're going to go ahead and set up a try catch. So try, and we'll catch an exception E, maybe E. And we'll just say thunk API dot reject with value E. Okay, and then inside the try, we'll say let request equal to await axios dot put, and then inside here we'll have our backticks http / localhost 8000, and this is going to be /post/view $$ curly brace, $ curly brace, and this is going to be body.postid. Okay, then we're going to have an empty object because it's like the body, and then inside we're going to have our headers, and the headers will have an authorization. So we'll say authorization, and this is going to be a bear token. And we'll have $, curly brace, body.token. And then at the end of this, let's see what's wrong. I don't think we need it like this, but I'll add this just to be safe. I'll figure out what's wrong with it in a second. I also spelled authorization wrong. That's not going to be the issue. Whoops, this got ended early. There we go. How's that look? There we go. Cool. All right, so now we have a request. Then we'll go ahead and do is we will return our rec.data if that's successful, and that's good to go. So just a little bit of messed up there. Cool. So let's go ahead and go down to our extra reducers or whatever they're called. I forget what they're called. I think they're called extra reducers. We'll go to the bottom of all of our pending here. So below this create post with media, go ahead and say builder.add case, and this will be our view post.pending. We'll go ahead and pass in our state and action. And this is going to be dead simple. We're just going to say state is equal to state. Whenever we're in pending, we'll say loading is equal to true. We'll go ahead and reset error. So error is equal to false. We'll go ahead and return the state. I need to get better about returning all of these, or setting these all up. But technically not required, but it's probably best practice to do this. In one of my previous tutorials, I tried setting it up with like a default value. It didn't really work all that well, so that kind of stinks, but it is what it is. Here we'll do builder.add case for our fulfilled. So we'll say view post.fulfilled, and then here we'll say state and action. And here we'll go ahead and do is we'll say state equal to, actually here we just return state because all of the actual posts are inside of the feed slice. So we don't really do anything with this post, and we do a little bit, I think we make a dispatch inside the post component itself. So we'll deal with that in a little bit. And then finally our rejected, come down here, builder.add case, and this will be a view post.rejected. Pass in our state and action callback function. Here we'll say state equal to state. We'll go ahead and say loading will be false and error will be true. Now that I think about it, we should probably set loading to false in like all of the rejected and all of the like these guys as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and just quickly do that. This is not something that I have, but we'll go ahead and say loading false. Oops, make sure we say state loading false and error false. This isn't in my plan, but let's go and just fix this really quick. It's not that big of a deal. State is equal to state. And we'll say loading is false and error is false. I don't know if this causes the bug or anything later on, but it's probably better to be safe than sorry. State is equal to state. Loading is false. Error is false. Okay, and then let's finally do this one. So here we'll say state is equal to state. Loading is false. Error is false. Maybe. And then here, let's also go ahead and set loading the false on these. That way we have it false here. So here, error is false, loading is false, loading is false, and then loading is false. And then here, let's make sure we return the state. So that'll go ahead and set that up. So now what we need to go ahead and do is set up an observer. So that way when we scroll over one of these posts, it actually goes ahead and creates a view. So let's go back to our post component. And the first thing that we want to go ahead and do inside of our post component is let's go back to the top here of the page. And let's go ahead and create a ref to actually gain access to the component itself. So we say const, and we'll say post ref is equal to, we can go ahead and say use ref. Let's go ahead and import that guy. And here we're going to go ahead and say this is an HTML and div element. And this is going to start out as null. So next, what we want to go ahead and do is we want to go ahead and create a function called create view. So let's just go down to the bottom of all of our functions. So now we'll go ahead and say const create view is equal to, we need to pass in some entries, type any. Probably not the best way to do this, but it is what it is. And here we'll say entries dot for each. So for each entry, we're going to pass entry of type any, and we're going to go ahead and have a callback function. So now for each entry, we're going to check to see if entry dot is intersecting. Maybe is intersecting. And if it is intersecting, we can say let's updated post equal to json.parse. And then we're going to pass in json.stringify. We're going to make a deep copy of this basically, of the post. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Let's just make sure that I have this lined up properly because I feel like this is a little bit jank. No errors, so cool, that's good. So we're gonna go ahead and basically get the post. We're gonna say if we are logged in and not post.views.sum, we're gonna pass in user. We're gonna go ahead and say user.user ID equal to logged in.user ID. So what this is basically doing is it's going to go ahead and check to see if our user ID is inside of the views set, basically, because then we don't want to go ahead and add this. So if it doesn't exist, we're going to go ahead and say let views equal to ... post.views. We're going to say logged in. So we're going to add our user. We're going to go ahead and say updated post is equal to ... updated post. And we're going to go ahead and pass those views. So go ahead and update that post. And then what we're going to do is we want to dispatch the update post. So dispatch, we're going to update, dispatch update post. And this is going to actually call the feed post to update all the different posts inside the feed. It's going to pass in the updated post, and that'll update our feed immediately. And then we'll also go ahead and dispatch. We're going to dispatch our view post, and I fingers crossed that imported that, we'll see. So we're going to go ahead and view post. We're going to pass in the post ID, post ID, post.post ID, and then we're going to call it the token. So let's see. Cool, that seems fine. It seems like it imported everything fine. So now we need to actually go ahead and set up the intersection observer that will go through and actually see each time we view a post and then send this. And then this part right here is going to make sure that we only send the request if we actually need to. So we can see this guy is surrounding that if. Otherwise, we just won't do anything. We don't want to spam the server over and over again if we don't have to. Let's go ahead and set up the use effect that we're going to need to actually do all this. And I want to make sure we don't have a use effect already. We might not, I don't remember for sure. Okay, we don't. So let's go ahead and set up the use effect, which will actually create the observer. And we need to also put we also need to put the ref on the post itself. So let's first go ahead and do the use effect. So say use effect, go ahead and import that, make our callback function like so. And here, we're not going to go ahead and observe anything. We're just going to do this once. We're going to go ahead and say if our post ref and our post ref dot current. So make sure that it's loaded up and everything. We can say const observer equal to new intersection observer. We can import that. We're going to call the create view function. The root is going to be null because we're not going to have it passing. It's just whenever it passes into the viewport. And then threshold will be 1. We want to be able to see the entire thing before we call this observer. Now we need to go ahead and set up the target for the observer. So const target will be equal to our post ref, maybe post ref dot current. And then finally, we'll say observer dot observe. We're going to go ahead and observe the target. There we go. So now we have the observer. Now we're just going to go onto our post, and let's go ahead and say the ref is equal to post ref. That way we can watch this. All right, so now every single post is going to have a ref associated with it. And whenever we scroll through our feed page, hopefully, fingers crossed, theoretically, knock on wood, all of that stuff, we should be able to actually see the view counts going up real time. Let's go and log into Twitter really quick. All right, and this guy, for some reason, is being a little bit jank. Let's refresh. There we go. Okay, so you can see all of these automatically went to 1. If we scroll down, that one went to 1, that one went to 1. I don't know why it's being a little bit jank. I guess maybe it might just be a rendering bug, and this is still kind of a render. Oh, never mind, that's fine. But yeah, so this is working fine, and that's kind of what we wanted to get done in this episode. So appreciate you all stopping by. In the next episode, we're going to go ahead and continue working on some post stuff, primarily this guy. If you guys did enjoy, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Trying to get these videos out every 2 weeks. So also, if you're new and this is like your first episode you've seen, I do have a playlist that starts from absolute scratch. I am trying to go ahead and get these as done quickly as possible because I know this has kind of been stretched out as long as possible. I do have some other projects I want to work on. But anyway, guys, I appreciate you all for watching. This is Ethan Coder. Peace out, and I'll see you guys in the next video.